Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing here? We're going to give everyone a few minutes to trickle in here and we're going to get started. I have a really good presentation lined up for you guys today, some super detailed processes that we'll go over. And then honestly, we'll just go over some very general stuff that I feel like is maybe not talked about as much, but definitely helpful if you're looking to, launch your product for the first time, or even if you've launched a product and you're looking to kind of revitalize it or bring some new strategies to the table. So before I start, just want to get some feedback, some interaction. Everyone can hear me okay. Everyone can see me. I know it's nice and sunny outside. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm currently in New York. I want to know where everyone else is from. So if you feel like it, drop it in the chat where you're from. Interested to see where everyone is. Unable to connect. Give your internet a second, then try again. That should help you out here. Again, I'm in New York. I'm interested to see where you guys are from, where you guys are joining us from. I'm sure we have some people in the States, in the USA, and outside of the States, which I always think is pretty cool. Jersey City, nice, cool. I was actually just in Long Branch, New Jersey, visiting a friend. Actually, he's interested in some Amazon stuff. He owns a hedge fund. We were talking, trying to get him set up. London, cool. Toronto, Canada, love Toronto. I'm actually going to be going there next week. We have someone all the way from India. That's awesome. Love that. Dubai. I'm actually going to Dubai in 2025. I'm excited for that trip. Someone from Texas. Does this process work in Canada? Absolutely, it does. Absolutely. Quebec, Canada. Got some people from Canada. Very cool. So I'm in upstate New York, which is about a 3-hour drive from Toronto. So I'm pretty close to Canada, actually. South Carolina, more Canada. Nice, cool. Love to see that. Awesome. We'll take about another 2 minutes or so, and then we'll get started. Make sure you guys write down some questions that you have. Drop them in the Q&A section here. We're going to go over a bunch of questions, and I got a very special surprise at the very end of the webinar that I'm excited for you guys. Chile, nice, awesome. New York City, very cool. And we're going to go over some really interesting things in today's webinar. I bet you some things that you guys have not seen. I'm sure there's some people in this webinar that have maybe tried selling on Amazon in the past, had some hiccups, were held back, stopped, and now feel motivated again. Brazil, amazing, awesome. Have not been to Brazil yet. If you guys aren't familiar, again, my name's Andre. I'm here in New York, but I love to travel. And I'll actually get into that into the webinar. We'll wait about another minute here, and then we'll get started. Perfect. Awesome. Well, again, if you guys don't know, my name is Andre. I have the brand Success to Selling. I created Success to Selling a while ago now, after I've been in the e-commerce space for a while, to do exactly this, which is to help folks along the way, just because I remember first started selling on Amazon, and the beginning process, the beginning stages of selling on Amazon is always so tough. So I'm glad to be with you guys here today. And we're going to go over the entire process to build a long-lasting brand on Amazon that can generate you $10,000 in passive income, and really show you guys some of the steps and a lot of the little nuances. I currently believe that to stand out on Amazon in this day and age, it really comes down to the little nuances. Anyone can launch a product that even has a high level of demand, but taking care of those little things is really what will set it apart for you. So we're going to get right into it. Again, if you guys are just joining, my name is Andre, and I've created the brand Success to Selling. It's a little over 6 years from when I quit my full-time job and started my first business. And now I'm in a position where I actually own 4 different businesses, all under an LLC, all as different DBAs. Um, and we can get into that a little bit today. Again, have some questions that you want to ask. We'll definitely go through them, and I can give you just some experience that I've had that's really helped me make those big plunges of quitting a full-time job. Because I still remember quitting my full-time job, and it was just like such this very surreal feeling to walk into my boss's office and hand her this 2 week notice to say that I was leaving, and her reaction, and kind of how it has developed and transformed into what I would consider a high level of success now, which feels really good to say. So I think one of the most important things for folks to do is you have to find your why. And it looks different for everyone. And I always, commonly see people just go right to money. Why do you want to sell on Amazon, or why do you even want to quit your full-time job? And it goes right to money. But I think it's a little bit deeper than that. And I think once you get deeper than just monetary gain, because we all want to make money, you really start to find some of that intrinsic motivation. Like, what is really going to push you through some of the sticking points? What's going to make you consistent in your product research? And for me, it looks like a few things. And one of that is my family. To support my family is super important for me. My parents actually just retired from work, so now I get to give back to them, take them out to dinner, take them on vacation with me, which we just recently did to South America, Peru. If anyone's familiar, drop a 1 in the chat if you've ever been to Peru. Such a beautiful place. That's actually where my wife is from, is Peru. So you can see for that first picture, that's my wife and I. She is a big motivator for me. She's always supporting me. But, I just want to do certain things like travel across the globe to South America, to Peru, to see her family and experience that. So I kind of regularly remind myself of that, like why am I doing this on a regular basis? It's because of those things that's outside of money. Of course, it costs money to buy a plane ticket, but outside of buying that plane ticket, I now have the ability to have that experience. Food is amazing from Peru. I know, it's absolutely amazing. Really is like one of the best things. Second thing for me, it's a big motivator, is I am really big into the car culture. I just love it. That's my car in the middle. It's an Audi R8. And it's not a flex to say, I bought this expensive car. It is just something that motivated me. I worked really, really, really hard to get that car. I purchased cars before that vehicle that I kind of worked my way up slowly, slowly, slowly. And it's so funny. Like, I remember reminding myself of, like, I will own an Audi R8. Like, I will. And I recently just purchased that vehicle. So for me, that was like a really big level up. And it was a big motivator to get to where I currently am. And one of the last ones that I kind of touched on is travel. Again, my wife is not from this country. She's not from the US. She's not from the States. So she was like super cultured and traveled all over the place. And for me, I never had that expense. I didn't know what it was like to travel. And over the past 6 years, I have traveled all over the world, different places. And again, of course, it costs money to buy the plane ticket, but the experience you get from traveling is amazing. I encourage everyone to do it. And that was a big motivator for me. I wanted to be able to take 2 weeks to go to Europe and travel around Spain or Italy, or somewhere that had a level of interest to me. And you really can't do that as much with a 9 to 5, especially if you're limited in your time off, etc. So, to encapsulate everything that we're talking about here, is you need to find your reason why, and it needs to be outside of money. And you need to have that as a common denominator that you can fall back on. You can say, like, okay, I've done product research for the past 2 months. I feel like I'm a little burnout. I feel like I really am maybe nervous to launch this product. That's all right. Fall back on your motivators. Understand that when you're able to quit your full-time job and you're able to take the plunge to say, I'm going to Europe for the first time for a month, it's going to feel really, really good. So find your motivation and use that to fall back on. And honestly, that is how success to selling really came to fruition. So I just want to quickly jump into some of the things that we're going to cover in today's webinar. Again, make sure you guys are writing some questions, and make sure you guys stay tuned to the end. If you do anything, make sure you stay tuned to the end, because we have some really cool and interesting offers for you guys that I'm excited that are really going to excel this process of getting a product on the Amazon platform. So We're going to cover about what it takes to create some passive income, because I'm just a big believer in passive income. It's a lot of my businesses, the foundation is passive income, so that you can go travel or go to a car show or whatever one of those motivators are. And how you can quit your job, quit your 9 to 5, be your own boss. It's like the most empowering thing to be your own boss. I absolutely love it. From creating my own hours to, not having any of the politics of work, from having a boss telling you kind of what to do, or maybe has an attitude, or maybe you don't like, you just don't have to deal with that. Having financial freedom, again, a very empowering thing, just to say, I would like to buy this, so I can, or I'd like to take this trip, so I can, or I'd like to buy my spouse their favorite present or a wedding ring or whatever it may be. Having that financial freedom is really big. And then honestly, to gain some real life skills in the business space. Again, I have some businesses outside of e-commerce that really I was able to start because of e-commerce. So I want to just touch on a few of those today just to help you guys out. And again, if you have any questions about those, we'll get into them and give you some answers. So let's talk about what we're going to cover in today's webinar, so you know what to expect. If you have a pen and paper ready, I would definitely take some notes, or just at least write down some of your questions, because we're going to talk about, is Amazon still dead? Or excuse me, is Amazon dead? Shouldn't say still. And what does it look like? What does the platform look like right now in 2024 leading into 2025? We're going to go into some of the in-depth product research, some of the trademark and branding, some of the ways to do the fastest and cheapest shipping, and how to set up your Seller Central account. I get so many questions on this on a regular basis, as well as how to list your product step by step, as well as my top 5 Amazon FBA mistakes. So let's get right into the first one. And is Amazon FBA dead in 2024 leading into 2025? And the answer is absolutely not. But I do see a lot of folks who are maybe kind of stepping into the Amazon arena, and they don't understand, how it still has a level of success. So I want to touch on a few of these. And one of them is the expanding customer base. Amazon has over 300 million active customers and accounts worldwide. That figure is insane. Just to think about the active amount of people that are on the platform shopping. You just really want to be where people are buying stuff, and that's on Amazon. Inside Amazon, there's Amazon Prime. We've all heard about it, single day shipping, 2-day shipping. There are over 200 million Prime members, just really indicating the strong presence of people that are on Amazon that are purchasing this membership that gives them direct access to buy products on a quick basis. We'll get into how to have your product on Amazon Prime, because that's one of my main strategies. Is like, you really want to make sure that your product is available through Amazon Prime, just because it really builds this level of trust with the customer. And we're going to now get into some of the other reasons of the diverse revenue streams. And if you didn't know this, the third-party sellers contribute over 60% of Amazon's total sales in recent years. So that's people just like you and I, who are making up more than 50% of the sales that occur on Amazon. It's not some, Amazon brand that's taking up the majority of the sales. The majority of the sales are from people just like you and I, who are launching a product and really, saying, I'm going to sell 500 units this month. This is my profit margin. People like that who are creating these brands, those are the people that are making up the majority of the sales, which is just awesome. And then lastly, another good thing about Amazon and why it's not dead and why it's still a good, reliable source for your e-commerce, platform, is that it's always making improvements. If you look, Amazon is constantly looking to improve their algorithm, whether it's doing something through AI improvements or really things on the back end that we're not, 100% open to see. Amazon is a well-oiled machine that has been doing this for a while, and it's just constantly getting better and better and better. And they're expanding into different things with grocery and healthcare and entertainment. Amazon is growing in what they're selling as well. You can buy a car on Amazon right now, which I just think it's like so awesome. Just as an Amazon seller, to think about how you could buy a car on Amazon is beautiful. Again, we're going to talk about just a few more opportunities on Amazon that are right now in 2024 that I think everyone really needs to keep in the back of their head, because it's so easy to say, well, it's saturated, it's hard. Think about these things, and that is the niche markets. It's the increasing demand for unique and niche products allow new sellers to tap in to underserved segments. And basically, what that just means is there's new products that arrive to the platform every single day. Not just new products, new niches too. There's, again, people are selling cars, people are literally selling all different types of things that have high levels of demand. So for me, I think it's important to realize, yes, there are niches that are saturated on Amazon 100%, but there are also a lot of niches that are just starting as of today. September 26, 2024, there is a brand new niche that has a array of products that have just come to the Amazon market that is worth it. Next, we're going to get into is the support for sellers. I mean, if you guys didn't know, there's a lot of seller tools on the platform. It gives you access to analytics, advertising, and inventory management tools that really just help you optimize your sales strategies. And then there's the big elephant in the room. It's called FBA. If you didn't know, fulfillment by Amazon. You cannot beat the well-oiled machine that is Amazon. They will pick, pack, and ship your product to your customers on a timely basis with thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of employees at that you're just one person. So that FBA tool is really, really powerful. Lastly, for this section is the free resources and trainings and help new sellers succeed. Amazon has, again, the Seller University, and there's tons of forums as well. And then there's tons of, different platforms like AMZ Scout that is here to give you a lot of mentorship and tools that help you analyze all of the important metrics that make a product worth selling. So Amazon is 100% still worth it in 2024. You just have to be selling the right product as well as having the right strategy, which we're going to touch on today. And the first thing that we need to do is talk about some in-depth product research practices. Now, I personally have a very specific strategy. I've launched multiple brands on Amazon, and within each brand have multiple products. And I've really done the trial and error. I've had products that have done really well. I've had products that haven't done so well that I will not be selling, that I've stopped selling. So one of the first things that's important for your product research is a high price point, advancing capacity, and niche expansion. We're going to get into each one of these individually, but just know that these three pillars here are kind of how I structure my product listing. And you're probably thinking about this first one, a high price point. What does that mean? Well, let's use an example. These are two products that are being sold on Amazon, and they are in the same niche. They have a very similar function. They have the same box size, the same Amazon fulfillment fees, and the same freight forwarding from your supplier to the Amazon fulfillment center. And what it is it's just a car dash cam. You can use it for insurance purposes. You could use it for whatever really you want, but it just suctions to your window and looks out the front of your car. Now, again, everything is the same about these two products, the size, the shape, the manufacturing location, everything, but they're at two different price points. One's $140 and one's $260. And what's interesting is the manufacturing fee on both these products is very similar to each other. Of course, the more expensive product is slightly more expensive to manufacture, but it's not exponentially more expensive to manufacture. And what I like to do is I like to think of the price spectrum. And that first product that's at $140 is the very bottom of this price spectrum. And that second product for $260 is at the top of that price spectrum. And within this spectrum, a lot of sellers tend to focus on the cheapest thing they can sell. And just from my experience, the cheaper an item generally is, the more problems I have with it. I would rather take time to develop a product to really have it be its best and then be at the top of that price spectrum that has less sellers, and I'm selling a good product that people are going to be happy when they buy it. So find your price spectrum, whether it's from $20 to $80, And I personally like to put myself on the higher end of the price spectrum where there are fewer sellers and you're selling a slightly better product. Speaking of a slightly better product, we're going to get into advancing capacity. This is something that I do every single time I go to launch a product, and that's going into the similar products of competitors and looking at their bad reviews and trying to find a common denominator. And let's just say for the dash cam, the common denominator that people are commonly complaining about is that the suction cup just keeps on, faulting and failing. It just won't stay stuck after a while. So instead of having one suction cup, I talk to the manufacturer and say, hey, can we have actually 3 suction cups like that make a triangle? Or can we have a larger suction cup? Or what is your suction cup made out of? What is the most adhesive suction cup you have? So the advancing capacity is really something that's valuable that I see a lot of new sellers skip out on. They just go to Alibaba, they find the product that's selling well on Amazon, and they order it and they send it right to Amazon. You should be trying to find ways to make your product stand out from the competition and avoid a lot of those negative reviews because they're inevitable. They're going to happen. People are going to leave a negative review, whether your product's even amazing. I mean, it's like a constant battle on Amazon. And then there's a lot of people that leave good reviews. And, my goal is to try and find the common problem that I see folks having and how can I eliminate that problem. So that's advancing capacity. The next thing that I think is really important is niche expansion. And niche expansion is what you would think of in easy terms as multiple products. So if you have niche expansion, you're going to have multiple products in your brand, which is huge. And if we think about it, we know so many companies that do this. If you look at Clorox, they're selling Burt's Bees. If you look at Coca-Cola, they're selling Smart Water. If you look at Nestle, they have Pellegrino. All these different brands have other products that they sell within them. What I like to do is I like to sell something that I can think of that I can sell for a long term. And then I like to sell other products that complement my main product. And, if we just go back to the car video camera, the dash cam as an example, you can start selling SD cards, right? So you sell the dash cam and then you sell the SD card, and now you just sold 2 products to one customer. It's called upselling. So if you can upsell a product that complements your other product, you'll just then play the volume game where you're selling more products, which honestly makes more money. So you really want to take those 3 things into consideration when you're doing your product research and trying to have, that in the back of your mind. Now, we're going to move into trademark and branding, and it's going to get a little technical. So all you have to do, again, take a screenshot of your computer, write down some notes, or ask some questions. Write down some questions for me. I'll be glad to answer them because this gets a little tricky. But once you understand it, it's pretty straightforward. And the trademark and branding is a big piece of my strategy because it's really going to protect your brand and then give your customer a level of trust in your brand. They're going to just say, yeah, here, take my money. I'm ready to buy this, rather than saying like, what is this? Like, where did this even come from? So we're going to talk about how to check for the name availability of the brand that you want to create, the service class that it falls within, your USPTO step-by-step setup, and the importance of Amazon brand registry. So the name availability. So what this really is you're going to go to the UST website in order to check the name if it's available. So I'll give you an example. We'll just use the dash cameras, and dash cam is the name that you would like to use. You're going to go to the USPTO website. You're going to type in dash cam into this base word search here, and you're going to see, is it already in use? And if it is, unfortunately, you just have to come up with a new name. So this is a really good way to kind of get a foundation for what you're going to do before you start, sending brand names to your supplier that you want them to put on your product. First, make sure that the brand name is actually available. So you want to check your name availability. After you check the name availability, you're going to have to see what class your product falls within. And this is kind of interesting because you may not even know this, but all these different products fall within a certain class. And Amazon wants to know what class your product falls within. So it's just very simple. You just type in your product, a few words that describe your product. Let's just say dash cam is one of the words you would type in. And then it's going to say dash cameras for vehicles, service class C. It's going to tell you exactly what it is, and it's going to have a 4-digit number. You just copy that and then paste that into your USPTO trademark application, right? So your service class. Very simple. You just type it in. And this is just a very kind of quick briefing. Again, just so you have the chronological order, you're going to create your USPTO account. You're going to select File T's application. Once you file your account, you'll input your business information. You'll select your logo. You'll select your service class. You'll make your payments. And now you actually have a filed trademark application. So like, let's just say Dashcam was your name. You now have filed that name if it was available, and the USPTO is going to grant you access to have that name. So someone else can't put that on a brand and sell it on Amazon as well, which is really good for protecting your brand. And that gets us to the brand registry. The brand registry is something that is designed for Amazon sellers to be a part of to protect your brand, number one. So that means if someone tries to come in with a counterfeit product, right? You know, they come up with dash cam, they try and have the same exact name. They try to sell it on Amazon, and it starts taking your sales. What's going to happen is Amazon's brand registry department is going to step in, and they're going to X out the seller and not let them sell on the platform anymore. So they really protect your brand, which is awesome. I love that. The second biggest piece is that the brand registry department is going to allow you to have a lot of important tools that help convert sales. So we'll go over a few of them. One of them is A+ content. We've all seen A+ content on a listing on Amazon. If you didn't know, after you scroll down past the bullet points and descriptions, you'll see these big, large text pictures. And this is A+ content. And I like to call it web browser real estate. And the more web browser real estate you can fill with big, captivating, colorful pictures, the more likely your customer is going to convert and make that purchase. So the brand registry is going to protect your brand, and then it's going to give you access to all the important things like putting videos on your product listing, as well as A+ content, brand stories. It's going to give you all those valuable things that help convert sales. Next, I want to touch on the cheapest and fastest shipping options. Shipping your product from your supplier to the Amazon fulfillment centers is always really stressful. So take notes here. Make sure, again, you ask some questions at the end. I feel like I get a lot of questions on this section from people, whether it's on YouTube or here in the webinars, because it can be really confusing. So we're going to go over your 3 main variables, what you need to ask your supplier. We're going to talk about DDP by ocean or by air, and we'll cover what DDP means, and the 3 steps to create your Amazon shipping plan. So the first thing you need to do is coordinate with your supplier, which, if we're talking about Alibaba here, can sometimes be a little tough, right? Normally, English is not their first language. So make sure you have a good rapport with your supplier. Then we need to talk about delivery duty paid, or as I previously referred to, is DDP, and then your Amazon shipping plan. So if we get into first what you need to ask your supplier is these main points. You need to make sure that you have your ship from address, which is where your supplier will be shipping your products. You're going to have to input this into the Amazon shipping plan just in case something goes wrong and Amazon's like, hey, we can't accept your inventory. They need to ship it back somewhere, and that is this address here. The next important question is the type of shipping paper for the box ID label. You're probably thinking, Andre, what in the world does that have to do with anything? Amazon wants to know whether you have printed thermal paper or the other option. So you're just going to have to ask the specific question to your supplier. And I always kind of like, if I ask these questions to a supplier and they don't know the answers, there's a good chance that may not be the supplier for you, because you want to deal with experienced Amazon manufacturers, right? Suppliers of these products. So they've already done this hundreds of times. So they're going to say, oh, what type of shipping paper? Thermal paper. You're going to have to decide whether you're going to go through the freight method of air or ocean. I personally prefer ocean. It is much, much cheaper. You can do air if you're in a pinch. It's just a lot more expensive. And you're going to have to ask your supplier the number of units per case in how many cases. This is so Amazon can really have logistics on their end kind of figured out. Are you sending 500 boxes or 5 boxes? And within each box, how many different products are in there? And then the ship dimensions of the weight of the boxes. Amazon, again, needs to know this. So they say, hey, we can have a pallet come pick this up, or we can have, just someone, a worker, an employee, pick it up and move it themselves. Okay, so delivery duty paid, also known as DDP, what does it actually mean? And to think about it pretty simply, it's just you want to make sure that your agreement with your supplier, your shipping agreement is always DDP. So if you say, hey, can we have a DDP shipping agreement? And they say no, you do not want to have that agreement for your shipping plan. The DDP agreement, it basically is just going to ensure that the supplier is responsible for the payments and taxes and any fee that may occur for your product to get from China, let's just say from Alibaba to Amazon. And you can use a freight forwarding company. I personally just like to have it in contract that it's DDP, because then your supplier in China or wherever is going to be responsible again for paying all the taxes, the shipping fees, the freight forwarding fees. They're going to make sure that your product is coming across, the country legally and paid appropriately. So DDP is definitely your friend. You want to make sure you have that. Now, when it comes to creating your shipping plan on Amazon, you can only do this once you've actually created your account on Amazon. I actually get this question, a lot, like, hey, I'm ready to create my shipping plan and send my product to Amazon. I'm like, okay, go into your Seller Central account. They're like, well, I don't have a Seller Central account yet. So make sure you start your Seller Central account. I'm going to show you how to do that in this webinar. It's very, very easy. But once you do that, you're going to click on your product. You're going to go to manage your inventory, and then you're just going to select all the different types of box size and shape. And then you're going to have a label that Amazon is going to send you. Amazon's going to make you a label. You're going to send that to your supplier. Your supplier is going to put that on your box, and then they're going to send it to the Amazon fulfillment center. So you are not going to create this shipping label. Your supplier is not going to create the shipping label. Amazon is going to do it for you. All you have to do is just send it directly to your supplier, and then they'll put it on your box and be able to ship it out. So we touched on the Seller Central account, and I'm sure a few people are thinking at this moment, all right, well, so what goes into an Amazon Seller Central account? What do I need to have in order to set up the account? So we're going to get into that. And what I want to start with is the 2 different account types, because this is another really important question I get. Everyone's like, hey, I'm just starting off. Like, why am I getting the professional account that's $39.99 a month, $40 a month, when I could just pay 99 cents per unit every single time I sell a product? And the reality of the situation is 90% of the time selling on Amazon, and I would even say the statistic is higher. I would say 95 to 98% of my students sell more than 100 units in their first month. So instead of paying 99 cents, you would pay $100. You just pay that flat fee of $40. So you're going to ask me, which one should you sign up for? Of course, it's your decision. The individual is 99 cents per transaction, and the professional is $39.99. Okay, so now that we got that organized, this is what it's going to look like when you go to create your Seller Central account. You're just going to type in your name, your email, a password, and Amazon is going to ask you for these things. So this is what I tell you to do. Have these things ready before you even go to do this, because the last thing you want to do is then put like a hold on your account. What you're going to need is a valid government issued ID or passport. Need it, can't get a Amazon Seller Central account without one. Second thing you're going to need is a recent bank account or credit card statement. Amazon needs to see that you have those things, right? You're going to need a chargeable credit or debit card. This is for Amazon to charge you for your seller account fees. And then you're going to need a mobile phone that is not already registered to a seller's central account. That's a big one. A lot of people will reach out to me and say, hey, I made an account in the past and it's telling me that I can't make a new account with this phone number. There's no way of getting around it. You just have to have a new phone number, or you have to go in, deactivate that old account, or just use that old account to move forward. So make sure you have these things. Again, take a picture of them if you need them. Make sure you have them ready to go. Okay, here. So once you're in your Seller Central account, there's a few things that you need to get organized. The first is just your business name. If you do not have one, right, like I have a business name because I created an LLC. Let's say if you didn't have an LLC at any point and you wanted to put something here, you can actually just put your name. That's fine. I've seen that in the past. And then you're going to say, well, I don't have a company registration number. You can just put your social security number here. That's totally fine. And you're going to say, well, I don't have a registered business address. You just put your address there, right? So if you don't have a registered LLC, tons of folks just use their information of their name, their social security number, and then their home address. So just something to take into consideration. And then again, you'll have to put your phone number there. Moving on from here, you're going to, again, need a credit card. So here, you're just going to put your card number in when it expires, the name, and your address. This is really important because Amazon, again, is going to be charging this card for your Seller Central account fees and anything else in between. So you need a credit card on file with Amazon. They will not let you get away with it any way you try to. And next, so you're going to have your store name. I see a lot of people get caught up on this. Do not spend too much time. This is something that you can change. This is something that also isn't really public to your shopping customers. You're going to change this later at some point. I've changed mine a bunch of times. It's really not too big of a deal. Then you have these three questions. Do you have the universal product code, the UPC? You're going to select yes, because you need that in order to launch your product. Do you have any diversity certifications? For me, I don't. So I clicked no. And do you own a brand? And you're going to say yes, because that's what we're doing. We're creating a brand through the brand registry department, through getting our trademark application, right? So those are those three questions. Again, I see people kind of getting hung up on them. So I just want to take a second to lock those in so you can really know what it takes to create your Seller Central account. Again, if you guys have any questions, make sure to drop them down in the Q&A section here, because I'm going to be going through all the different questions at the end. I would love to spend 5 hours talking about this, and I'm sure you guys can see that I probably can just by how enthusiastic and passionate I am, but we do have a timeline, so I want to keep on moving through our different slides here. And one of the most important is to list your product step by step. 2 things you need to get started in the step-by-step process. So you're ready to launch your product. The 2 things you need, number 1 is an Amazon Seller Central account, which is pretty straightforward. And the second is a barcode from gs1.org. Now, in the past, maybe 6-7 years ago, this is a long time ago, Amazon was letting other platforms besides GS1 sell folks barcodes, and then you could use that to register your product on Amazon. That has completely changed. You can only have products listed on Amazon with the barcodes from gs1.org. So you'll go to the gs1.org website, you'll buy your barcode, you'll put it in. I'll show you here in a moment where you put it in, and then you'll be able to list your product on Amazon. No way to get around it. Of course, it does cost money, so you'll just have to pay for your barcode. And it's pretty simple. You know, if you had one product, you're just going to buy one barcode that gets put on each individual product. If you had 10 products, you would have 10 products. So once you create your Amazon Seller Central account, it's pretty exciting, right? Because you haven't seen inside what it looks like. It's going to look very similar to this. I will say that Amazon is constantly changing their interface, and they actually roll out different interfaces to different people just to test it and see like how it's kind of working. So you just go here to the bottom to under catalog, it says add products, click on add product, and then you're going to click on this button to the far left. It says I'm adding a product not sold on Amazon. I see folks getting a little confused here sometimes. Let's just say you're selling the dash cam and you're like, well, Andre, there's a bunch of dash cams being sold on Amazon. So which one do I choose? You're still choosing I'm adding a product not sold on Amazon because you have the brand associated to your dash cam. Super important. No one owns that brand besides you. So therefore it is not being sold on Amazon. Once you do that, this is where you're going to put your product ID, which is the barcode. So you can't get past this page right here unless you have that barcode. Again, the product ID is just the bottom of your barcode. So you just type that in there. And then after that, on the right-hand side, you'll click that drop down and you're going to click UPC. Look at all these different types of barcodes: GTIN, EAN, GCID, UPC, ASIN. There's a ton of them. You just want UPC. That's what you want to click for that one. And then here is where you're going to put your product name. So I've created a pretty in-depth tutorial for creating a brand on Amazon on my YouTube channel. And we had this product example, which was a dog brace. Like if your dog, shout out to all the dogs out there. If anyone has a dog, put a 1 in the comments. My wife and I have a mini Labradoodle that we love, that we're like, this is a perfect test product. But your product name. So what is it? It's a dog brace. And then your brand name. And we created this brand called Dogs Daily. So you're going to input your product name and then your brand name in those two sections there. And then this here is really important to have your brand enrolled. Enter the brand name exactly as you submitted it on your USPTO application. So like, let's just say on your USPTO, Dogs Daily had a dash in between those two words. Make sure you put that here on that brand name section. You do not want to have a space if there's a dash, if the words are pushed together. Make sure you have it exactly as you have it on the USPTO website. Okay, from there, you're going to have to do some very small little, inputs here to make sure that Amazon can have some information to display to your customer. And that's talking about, is your product expirable, which, the dog brace is not. Who's the manufacturer? The brand Dogs Daily is the manufacturer. And how do you count in units of measure? Well, it's just a count, right? It's just 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not selling a liquid that has a certain type of volume. So that question can sometimes throw people off. So I wanted to add it there. And then you're just going to go in here and you're going to add your price. You're going to add your quantity, how many you have available, what condition it is. And then one of the most important parts here is the fulfillment channel. You'll see two options. I will ship the item myself, also known as FBM, fulfillment by merchant, or the second option here, Amazon will ship and provide customer service, fulfilled by Amazon. You want to make sure that you have the FBA marker checked. Of course, if you're starting off and you want to do FBM, there's no problem with it. I actually have inventory at my home that just in case one of my inventory is getting low at the Amazon fulfillment center, I will fulfill it from my home just because I don't want to run out of inventory. I don't say you necessarily have to do that your first month selling. Normally you can kind of get organized and know, how many units you're selling monthly, how many units you need to have in transit between your supplier and the Amazon fulfillment centers. And the prime factor. We're going to talk about now what Amazon wants you to have for your listing images in order to be in compliance with them. And Amazon has some pretty strict guidelines. Your listing will be shadowed or will not be public to shopping customers if you do not follow these exactly. So once you click on hide image guidelines or just on that drop down, it's going to give you a bunch of bullet points here to make sure you follow those when you input your images. Again, I have a YouTube video that goes over this pretty specifically, but it's just really important. I see a lot of folks struggling at this part because they're trying to upload, their photos. Their product is quote unquote finished, but not active. They'll send me their ASIN and I try and look it up and I can't see it. And it's because the Amazon is shadowing their listing because they didn't follow these guidelines. So you just drag and drop your listings in there. Again, we're using the dog brace as an example here. These are some of the images that I created. So we're going to get into two important things. One is your product description. This is just talking about your product. Everyone gets the product description confused with your bullet points. They are two different things. Your product description is not your bullet points. So if we're looking on a Amazon listing, you see right here, these are bullet points. These are not your product description. Just want to make sure and clarify that. I see a lot of people getting confused by that. This is your description. Once you scroll further down from the bullet points is where your product description is. You can do what this seller did where they have some, bullet point looking fashion. You can do, I like to do like 2 or 3 sentences, very simple. You don't want to kind of overwhelm people. Then you'll be able to go in here under key product features. That is where you'll be able to add some bullet points. Just say add more. You can add a few bullet points to get your product nice and described. Again, you can see once you click add more, there's another one that pops up there. Okay, now what I want to get into, which I feel like might be some of the most valuable things, is my top 5 Amazon FBA mistakes that, I took some of my own mistakes, and I also took a lot of mistakes that I saw other folks making on a regular basis. And I just kept on seeing the same things occur. So I wanted to talk about the top 5 mistakes that I see and how you can avoid them. And just to go down the list quickly, we have analysis paralysis. We have not branding, FBA over FBM, product research, and reviews. I'm going to touch on each one of these individually. I'm going to give you some really good key points as to how you can use them to your advantage and honestly leverage the Amazon platform. And the first one we touched on is analysis paralysis. I don't know. I think this actually might be the number one problem that I see folks having is like they've done 2 months of product research. They found a great product. They've locked in the brand. They've locked in a great supplier. They got a good price. They understand their profit margins. Everything has lined up and they're still like, should I do it? So you have to get past that analysis paralysis point. It is a little nerve-wracking. I still remember sending thousands of dollars to an overseas supplier for my first product. And you honestly just have to do it. You have to do it once you're ready. And that comes from, again, understanding your profit margins, getting a nice brand made, having a supplier locked in, understanding the metrics around your product. Does it have a high search volume, low level of competition, high level of demand? Does it have advancing capacities? Does it have niche expansion? All those things we touched on, you want to make sure before you're ready. But once you're ready, you are ready. You're ready to do it. Don't be afraid. Now, we're getting into what I see a lot of folks miss out on, and that is branding. And, branding does so much for your product. And one of the things that, again, it really does is gives you that precious web browser real estate where folks are scrolling on your listing and they're seeing these big captivating pictures that are colorful, that give product descriptions, because it's kind of, Amazon makes it somewhat tough. Like you have to hover over your picture, click on it, click on it. This one you can just kind of scroll, which we're all doing with our phones, which I really like. So you can really have some big pictures in there. And then again, it gives you access to the brand registry department. So I see a lot of folks that say, hey, I don't want to do the brand registry department. It's a lot of work. I don't want to do my USPTO application. I just want to sell as a generic brand on Amazon. And if I could tell you one thing to do, it's to create a brand for your product. I mean, think of yourself as a customer. Anytime you go to buy something and it's an established brand, you're just like ready to hand your money over rather than something you see on TV for the first time, or maybe it's on Amazon. You're always like, is this legit? Like, is this going to be of good quality? Is it going to break down? Is it going to even arrive? And I always just feel that touch of branding really helps, gives their customer a sense of trust in you and your product. I feel is very, very valuable. Next is FBA over FBM. And what do I mean by that is that you should 100% be using FBA or fulfillment by Amazon over or not just FBM, and I've actually sold both ways and just sold one way at a time. So I've sold just through FBA and I've sold just through FBM. And I can tell you that my level of sales through FBA was significantly higher. I don't think this is published in any peer-reviewed article, but I personally think the algorithm pushes the FBA accounts more. And they do that because think about it, Amazon is making money on selling your product. You have to pay Amazon to pick, pack, and ship that product. So they are pushing those listings more. Now, again, if you have your products at your home as a backup, so you're like, yeah, I have the FBA and FBM option both selected, which you can do, by the way. You can have both of those selected at the same time. That's okay. If you just have FBM, I'm going to tell you right now, you are missing out on sales from the algorithm. You're also one person. And a lot of folks that are stepping into the e-commerce journey, they have other jobs, and most of them have full-time jobs. And in order to maintain selling 50 units in a day, it's a lot. I've had a product do really well and start growing, and I just like was getting sloppy trying to maintain fulfilling all the orders, and I was like, I'm not going to spend the money on the fulfillment fees through Amazon. I'm going to try and do it all myself, and it was just way too stressful. Again, Amazon has hundreds of thousands of employees. They know this in and out. So use FBM. Don't be afraid to have products at your home or at a warehouse that you can ship out at a time of smaller inventory levels at the fulfillment centers, but just make sure that you are utilizing FBA. It really is very powerful. Next thing I see folks missing out on is they don't take product research seriously. And one of the main reasons I stand by AMZ Scouts products is because I truly believe in them and I see how they work. And what I mean by that is, like, if I am looking at the dog brace and I type it into the Pro extension, I get to see there's 19 sellers, there's the average monthly sales of 3,153, the average monthly revenue of $233,000. I can see the saturation score, I can see the niche score. I have tools at my expense that I can see the analytics. And I see a lot of folks that I mentor will send me a product and I'll look at the product and go, oh, this is cool. Why do you like this? They're like, oh, just because I like it. It's like, you should have a very high level of interest in what you're selling, but you should also have a very high level of understanding of the product's metrics, the analytics. What is the search volume? What is the CPC rate on the campaign keywords? What's the competition level look like? How many sellers are in the niche? Does it have that opportunity? And you can't do that without a product research software like AMZ Scout. So, I stand by AMZ Scout's products. I really do use them on a regular basis. And I even use them after launching the product. Like I'm still constantly using all the tools. We're going to get into some of the tools in a minute, but you just need a tool in order to make this process work. You can't just blindly choose something on Amazon and say, hey, this looks like a great product to sell, and not know any of the important metrics behind it. So make sure you use a product research service like AMZ Scout that's going to help you get into some of those important metrics that are really going to set it apart. One of the last things that I find is extremely valuable and people always miss out on is getting reviews. And you say, well, how do you quote unquote get reviews? I have a few strategies that I've implemented over the years. One of them is I like to have a little card that's in my product packaging that just thanks the customer for their purchase and then ask them for an honest review. Now, Amazon has some very strict rules when you do this. You can't ask your product for a 5-star review. Amazon will ban your product listing if you do that, but you can ask for an honest review. Now, what I like to do, let's just say you're in the pet niche and you're selling the dog brace. What I'll do is I'll have ChatGPT create me a 3-sentence thank you and review request from my customer and have something kind of cultured or funny in there. So it's thank you for your purchase of the dog brace. You're supporting a local small business. We really do appreciate, your purchase. please feel free to leave us an honest review and bark back, right? Like you bark back is related to the dog, just something kind of funny, just to kind of like have your customer read that and think to themselves, like, they actually put time into this, they put effort into this. And then again, it's really going to help you because you'll get some honest reviews where people are saying, hey, the dog brace Velcro was not as sticky as I wanted it. It kept on coming off. So the first thing you do is you go right to your supplier. You say, hey, we need a stronger adhesive for the Velcro. It keeps on coming undone. So your supplier makes the change in the manufacturing process, and now you have that product improvement, right? So super, super important to obtain reviews. A great way to do that is a product insert is what I like to call it. Just asking your customer for an honest review. Another way I like to get reviews is through the Vine program. The Vine program is super valuable, just where you're going to give your product to a customer in exchange for a review. 9 out of 10 times, I always get really solid reviews. It always works out very smoothly. It's definitely worth enrolling your product in the Vine program. Beautiful. Okay. Now we're going to get to some of the really important stuff, and that's the gig, what it looks like, and how it's going to benefit you. Again, I told you guys to stay tuned to the end of this because we really do have a special deal for you guys. This is really important for the next level up in your business. So I just want to make it clear that what we're doing is very limited and it's very special because you can go on and look at some prices on the AMZ Scout website or even mine, and you'll see they do not reflect this. This is a special deal for you guys here. So I want to get into what it's going to take with the tools that we offer in a profitable Amazon business. And the first is how I personally can help. AMZ Scout and I have teamed up for I think it's almost 2 years straight now. I love making content for them. I love using a lot of their tools. And AMZ Scout and I have teamed up because I offer services outside of AMZ Scout, and AMZ Scout offers services outside of me. And we really come together to join our services to deliver the best. So what you get from me is a one-on-one private mentorship through unlimited 30-minute individual calls. We have calls just like this. You sign up for the mentorship program. We're going to hop on the computer together. You're going to share your screen with me, and you're going to say like, hey, I have this problem with my brand registry application. Can you help me out? And I'm going to say, oh yeah, unfortunately you're attaching it as a PDF. It needs to be as a screenshot. Something simple like that can always be a problem, but to have the connectivity with someone, I don't have people that are jumping on the calls for me. You see me, my face. You'll see my background. I'm in the same spot. So the unlimited calls is extremely valuable, and unlimited is unlimited. I have office hours that I work within, but within those office hours, you schedule with me, we will get you taken care of. That is a total value of $2,000 for a 3-month duration. Moving on from that, we have the private chat. Now, the private chat for 3 months is valued at $1,000, and it's honestly, it's probably even worth more than that. And what it does is it gives you and I the ability to communicate back and forth with each other on a chat that then saves our conversations. I think this is super valuable because I'm just a very detailed person. I take the chat very seriously. I'll never just write you like a one-word response saying great or looks good or something like that. Excuse me, I'm going to tell you exactly why it looks good or why it doesn't look good. I'm going to send some outside research that I've done. Maybe you send me a product. I'm going to go into the AMZ Scout tools. I'm going to research the product myself. I'm going to take screenshots. I'm going to send it back to you. I'm going to say, hey, did you notice the search trend goes down in December and January? Well, that's right around quarter 4. Like, are you sure you want a product that has low search history during Q4? Typically, you want it to be higher. So the chat conversation is very detailed, lots of pictures, lots of communication, lots of in-depth sentences and paragraphs there. Next is what I've crafted over the past 5 years, which is the supplier outreach template. And this template just simplifies the process of contacting potential suppliers, making it easy for you to establish connections and negotiating favorable terms. I've negotiated, honestly, it's probably thousands of suppliers at this point, from my own products, from helping out my Patreons. And it really comes down to knowing how to negotiate with them. So I just had this idea, like, why don't I create the supplier outreach template I can send to you? Of course, if you have questions about the template or about, an outreach that you have, let's say you're in the middle of, let's say, a negotiation, then you can come to me and we can talk about it. Or you can also use the supplier negotiation template. Now, this template equips you with a framework for conducting successful negotiations with suppliers and covers key factors, including pricing, quantity, discounts, payment terms, quality control, empowering you to optimize your supplier relationships and maximize profitability. Every single product I've ever sold on Amazon, I've never paid the listed or advertised price on Alibaba. Never. I mean, it's like, oh, it's $1.99 a unit. I always bring that price down, whether it's by saying, hey, I'm going to come back for repeat business, or hey, I'm going to order 500 units, or hey, I talked to 3 other suppliers and all of their prices were cheaper than yours, but I like you the best. I like your company the best. You're a verified supplier on Alibaba. I want to go through you guys, but I need a cheaper price. So know that the supplier negotiation template is extremely valuable because it puts more money back in your pocket. We move on to that, you're gonna get the AMZ Scout annual plan tool set. Now, this is where AMZ Scout's contribution is gonna come into play. This is valued at $380, and it's gonna give you literally everything you need from the beginning of launching your product to in the middle of selling hundreds of units a month. You need your Pro extension, you need your product database, your reverse ASIN lookup, your Amazon keyword search, your product tracker, your keyword tracker, your quick views, and stock stats. All these things you will use the entire time selling on Amazon. Again, it's not one of those things that you just launch your product, you unsubscribe from your product research software, sales come in, you're good. No. A lot of the keywords will constantly change in your niche and in their search history and their search volume and in their CPC rates. So using the Amazon keyword search feature, for instance, is something that you need to use maybe 2 or 3 months after you launch your product. And this is an annual plan. So you're locked in for 365 days. You don't have to think about a reoccurring payment coming up. You're just gonna have this included in our bundle, okay? And obviously we're gonna give you a good deal on this as well, which we're gonna get to here in the next second. Next is your AMZ Scout Pro extension. The Pro extension is just so valuable because it actually operates directly on the Amazon platform itself, which I find is just very, very valuable. The Pro extension is very easy to install. Once it's installed, you're on the Amazon platform. You click on a product or even on a niche itself. The AMZ Scout Pro extension is going to go look at the trends, the sales volume, the quality of competition, and see what niches to dive into and which to avoid. Because you'll see like the niche score, it's ranked 1 out of 10. It might be like a 2. And you're like, oh, this product is great. It's got a good search volume. And then you'll go in and see the niche score and it's a 2 out of 10. That is not a good sign. And I personally have used that niche score like really regularly. You actually can click on it. It will give you an explanation of how they categorize those different niche scores. Another great thing about the Pro extension is it can help you estimate your FBA cost for a better view of your net profit and get an overview of your product history before you take it further. Again, I see folks who are like, hey, Andre, I'm ready to sell this product. I'm like, oh, great. I love this product. It looks great. What's your profit margin? And they're like, I don't know. It's like, what? You have to know your profit margin. And the only way to know that is with the tool. You can't just say it's 15% if you didn't do the equation. And AMZ Scout has a calculator that takes in all of the Amazon fees for your product size and shape and weight and all those different metrics. It just makes it extremely easy. You just have to type in like 2 or 3 little numbers, 2 figures, and then it pushes it out for you. Very, very simple, super valuable. Again, on the Pro extension, you can just really quickly check a lot of these different things. We talked about the niche score. Again, it's out of 10, and it gives you this likeliness to succeed and tells you why it is. How does the profit margins look? How does the demand look? How does the competition look? It gives you all these variables and breaks them down piece by piece so you can see exactly why the product is good or maybe why the product is one you should put to the side and keep doing some research. On top of all that, the Pro extension has a lot of really good stuff like the main product keywords, your listing quality analysis, lowest seller price information, review of numbers and rating averages, automatic FBA fee calculation. We touched on that. Pro extension really is just like your one-stop shop. You're going to have it on your web browser. You're going to use it all the time. From when you start to launch your product to when you're actually looking at new products in the future, it's super, super valuable. Now, when you're starting your product research, one of the most valuable things you can use from the AMZ Scout platform is the AMZ Scout product database. And this is the tool that you're going to use to find great potential product opportunities, a 600 million database, and then elevate your competition using the Pro extension. So you use both of these in tandem, both of these at the same time to help complement each other. The database is just awesome. I have tons of videos on my YouTube channel as well as the AMZ Scout YouTube channel where I go through demoing it, and what different filters I use and what ones I like and what metrics I put into the filters so you know exactly what to do. You can go on AMZ Scout's YouTube right now, find my face on one of the thumbnails, and it will show you exactly what I put in there to generate some high value products. Also, the AMZ Scout keyword search and reverse ASIN lookup. The AMZ Scout keyword search is really great because it allows you to see all the important information on the keywords associated to your niche. Again, if we're talking about the dog brace, you'll be able to see how many folks are looking up the word dog brace, which is really important to establish, does it have a high level of demand? You'll also be able to see what is the bid rate on that keyword. You have to pay Amazon to advertise on their platform associated to your keyword. The word dog brace could have a bid rate of $12, something outrageous, something expensive. But the other keyword, dog knee brace, could have a bid rate of $2 and the same level of search volume. So your AMZ Scout keyword search is really going to help. And then your reverse ASIN lookup is phenomenal because it's going to allow you to have all the important data on your competitors' analytics. You're going to see what keywords they're running, why they're running them, because they have high search volumes. These two features kind of, again, work in tandem with each other to understand the back end of people's listings or your competitors' listings, why it's so valuable to use some of those keywords. Now, AMZ Scout bonuses, with 1,000 plus exclusive Amazon product ideas, you're going to receive product ideas for 19 of the top 1% most profitable products delivered to you weekly. Each one is selected by AI out of 600 million products. I've seen folks use this exact feature and launch a product. This is not an exaggeration. I actually have proof of this. I had a Patreon that used one of the exclusive Amazon product ideas, just had a $1,000 day. They sold $1,000 worth of their product in one day from the exclusive Amazon product ideas. So if you're in that state of analysis paralysis, this is good for you because it's just putting fresh ideas on a weekly basis. Also, you're going to receive the monthly trend reports. These reports that contain monthly product trends, profitable niches, Amazon news, insights, and tips into maximizing your profits. Super, super valuable. The first one is valued at $2,000. The other one is valued at $500. Next, AMZ Scout bonuses we have are the Seller Hook Report with ideas for 5 booming categories. Again, this just helps so much with that analysis paralysis feel where you're like, I just don't know what even niche I want to start with. This is valued at $300. The AMZ Scout is going to give you some profitable product ideas with growing sales, massive revenue potential, and high ROI. The last one here on this page is the Amazon Infographics Secrets ebook. Find out how to attract shoppers and turn them into buyers by creating irresistible product listings. This is valued at $100. I can actually tell you that Patreon that just had $1,000 a day, we went through some of this, the things in this ebook. We went through, fixed some of his listing images, and the day after we fixed his listing images, he sold 10 units. The next day, he sold 12 units. At 12 units, 13 units in a day. If we're looking at how many units you're selling in a month, if you're selling 10 a day, 30 a day, 300 in a month, let's just say you're making $30 per unit, that is a $10,000 month profit. That's profit. That's not total sales. And we talked about in the beginning, how do you make $10,000 profit? That is how you do it. And then we have two more here for the AMZ Scout bonuses. How to get reviews guide. We touched on why I feel like that's so valuable and how it's one of the top 5 mistakes that I see folks making. Get reviews from day one when you most need them, and accelerate your sales while staying in compliance with Amazon's policies. We touched on the policies. They're pretty strict. They're pretty tough. So I want to make sure that you guys stay in compliance. Last thing you need is your listing shadowed. And then list of lower risk, ungated Amazon categories for beginners. A 22-page list of evergreen categories and subcategories to consider selling from if you're starting out on your Amazon journey. First one's valued at 100. The other one is at 200. Okay, next we have navigating the Amazon seller account challenges from suspension, deactivation, reactivation guide. This is valued at $100. At some point, you're going to use this guide. It just so happens that every single time, Amazon rolls out something new to all the new sellers, we're not even necessarily aware with it. AMZ Scout is on top of it and here to help protect you. Super valuable. How to appear on the first page of Amazon search results guide. This is, again, something you'll have in your back pocket that you can resort to when you first launch your product, or maybe if you're trying to revitalize a product at this point, is really going to help you get to that page 1. Now, if we look at all of these things together, we talked about how, my business, Success is Selling, and AMZ Scout have come together. It's almost $7,000 in value. And, it's a lot. Like, you have all these different things that you can refer back to that is extremely valuable. And we're ready to give it to you today only for $629. Now, two things I want to point out here. You can make a one-time payment of $629. There's a barcode here on the screen. Super easy to use. Now, if you're like, you know what, I don't have $629 that I'm looking to pay right now, you have the opportunity to split it into 4 payments. This is only for folks in the USA, but it is extremely valuable if you're like, hey, I don't have the ability to necessarily put up $629 today. You can still split it into 4 payments. And again, this is not going to be around for longer than this webinar, right? So, my prices are going back up, so is AMZ Scouts. So if there's some action takers, now is the time to do it. Make sure you're ready to make that commitment, because it is a commitment. It really, really is a commitment in order to start selling on Amazon. And I hope you feel like you're ready. One of the most important things about this $629 price is, again, you have the ability to split it up into 4 payments, which is super, super valuable, because if we're being honest, it's not easy to just come out of pocket with something when you're not ready. So being able to, buy now and pay later is really, 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 really valuable. I want you guys to take into consideration the discount of all these products together and how valuable they really are. Now, one of the things that I think is probably a testament to AMZ Scout and myself and our business ethics, is what I like to call it, is the refund guarantee of 10 days. So this gives you access to all of the AMZ Scout tools that we just mentioned, which there's tons of them. I could lose my breath telling you all of them, all the different ebooks. Then you have access to my services as well, right? From the unlimited calls, the templates, the chat. You get to test it for 10 days to establish whether it's a good fit, right? Like, you could do this for 4 days and say, like, hey, Andre, like, I just don't have the time that it takes to get into this. I had a family emergency, a death, something could happen that I just can't put my energy back to this. We believe in our products so much that we're willing to give you a refund, which I just feel is so valuable. And again, is a testament to the product, because, a lot of folks, they're not giving you a refund on a mentorship or even the product research software itself, because, they're just there to take your money. And AMZ Scout, it's one of the reasons I really love to collab with them, is because it's just very heartfelt. they stand by their products. That's the way I feel. I stand by my mentorship because I really do love helping people. That patron that just had $1,000 day. One day had $1,000 in sales was like awesome. Like we were celebrating together on the private chat, just like sending messages because I was so proud of him for doing that. So again, I just want to reiterate the refund guarantee of 10 days is extremely valuable, and it's a testament to the actual value that we have here in our products. So now what I want to do is I want to open the floor to some questions. I want to take in some questions that you guys may have. I covered a lot of information in today's webinar. So there's a lot of things that, you could think of, maybe wrote them down. And now's the time to drop them into the Q&A only section where I'm going to come through. I'm going to answer every single one of your questions. And then we'll talk a little bit about the gig right before we leave. And I want to start off with the first question here is what makes a brand a brand? Is it trust or reputation? And that's a good question. And what I like to say, what makes a brand is how much work do you put into creating that brand? If we go back to Dogs Daily, the dog brace brand, if I just put Dogs Daily on the front of it and I didn't put the paw print in the G and I didn't put a golden retriever in it and I didn't use cool colors that made it, very attractive, all those things are what makes a brand a brand. And that is going the extra mile to use very captivating and cultured things to the niche. What I mean by cultured is it's like, we put a dog print into the logo itself, right? And that was like a very kind of creative way to have the customer have this sense of relatability to the brand is because they love dogs. We mentioned earlier that my wife and I, we have a dog. And anytime we see something like cute dog toy-ish, we're always suckers for it. We always want to buy it. And that's because it's good branding, right? And whether it's a dog toy that's in the shape of a coffee mug because we love coffee, or it's the Dogs Daily brand that has the dog print in the branding itself, that is what makes a brand a brand. Good question there. I like that question. I don't see the options you showed when I select catalog, add product. So if that is one of the best things for the mentorship is we can actually do a screen share on the Discord platform where you can share your screen. And I'm like, oh, yep, you're under the catalogs tab. And instead of 2 down, it's 3 down. Or I'll show you a different way to navigate to where you're trying to go because Amazon has a few different ways you can navigate to the same place. So I can't see your screen right now, so I can't answer that question specifically, but I can say that join the mentorship will answer those type of questions for you on the spot. You have a question, we set up a time, or in the private chat, I can take screenshots of my account to show you how I get into the add product section. Good question there. Perfect. Can you talk about Amazon sponsored products? Great. Good question. Sponsored products from Amazon are, products that Amazon has deemed high value. I'm using high value in my terminology. And they use that through their own specific algorithm. So Amazon will say if a product sells, and these statistics are me just kind of freestyling and going off the cuff. If a product sells 50 times in one day, if the product keyword, let's just say it's dog brace, is searched 100 times in one day, if all these different requirements are met, they become into sponsored products, right? So that has, I love sponsored products. I go into sponsored products all the time to look and see kind of what's trending. And sponsored products kind of give you an eyesight into what is new to the market. So I love sponsored products. They're great. What makes a product Amazon's choice? Ooh, another good question here. Amazon's choice. Amazon is going to have this product again off of specific algorithm choices, right? That make and say we have a certain amount of search volume, a certain amount of purchases, a certain amount of ratings. Like Amazon loves to sell products that don't get returned a lot. So an Amazon choice product most likely has a very high rating, a high average rating of 4.6, 4.4. If there's a niche that has a lot of products that are having negative reviews, Amazon isn't going to put them into Amazon Choice because then they know that if a customer buys it, they have to go and return it. So similar to the sponsored products, Amazon's Choice, again, is just a specific algorithm that they are choosing to then kind of create and push certain products. Good question there. Okay, it says, do you prefer to use Amazon's inventory or to send directly the products to the consumers? Good question. We talked about this a little bit earlier in the presentation, and that is strictly FBA. I shouldn't say strictly because I do have products that I will send from my house if my inventory levels get low, but FBA or fulfillment by Amazon is always the way to go. Amazon is the well-oiled machine that will really make the entire process passive for you. We talked about passive income, and the last thing you want to do is be putting labels on boxes and tape and buying it and then driving to the postal service. And like every time I go to the postal service, it's like a 15-minute wait, and it's just like this big inconvenience. You don't have to do any of that. You're literally sitting here pushing buttons to check your inventory level, write to different suppliers. It just optimizes the entire process for you, makes it a lot easier. How about freight forwarders, recommendations for sellers getting their product from China? This question's from Anne, and this is a good question. I personally have used both. I've used the supplier and I've used freight forwarding. I've actually had some really good experiences with the supplier DDP. So again, if you guys remember from that section, we wanted to make sure that your products are coming from overseas DDP. And that is just going to ensure that all the taxes, all the freight forwarding costs, everything is taken care of by that party that is sending that inventory. So what I like to do is I like to shop. What I would do is I would say, how much is it to send my 500 units from China to the Amazon Fulfillment Center, DDP? And then I would go and contact the freight forwarding company and I would say, how much are you guys going to charge me? I would compare and contrast my prices. And it's so interesting to see because a lot of the overseas suppliers are going to try and tax you basically on anything they can, on the manufacturing of the product, on the shipping of the product, on the packaging of the product. So then compare and contrast. And I've actually, I've seen a shipping fee from a supplier be more expensive than a freight forwarding company. And then when I told my supplier that the freight forwarding company was cheaper and I was going to go with them, they lowered their price. So use the compare and contrast opportunity. Say, hey, I'm looking to see what it costs to have a DDP shipped from you guys, and then look at some freight forwarding options and see which one may work well for you. Good question there. Good question. Next question we have here is, what is the difference profit margin, FBA and FBM, and can they be switched anytime for one product? Okay, so you can't have a set profit percentage across the board because every product has a different fulfillment fee. If I'm selling like an iPad case here, or I'm selling a cell phone case, they're two different sizes, so the fulfillment fees are going to be different on both of those products. So if you were to say what is going to be a better profit margin between FBA and FBM, the more you scale your products, the more products you're selling, FBA is going to have a better profit percentage for you, rather than taking into account, you got to buy the supplies, the box, you got to buy the tape, you got to print out the labels, you have to drive to the postal service or wherever you're going to ship it, you have to wait in line, and you have to pay for it. FBA is going to have a better profit percentage than FBM, hands down. Good question. Can they be switched anytime for one product? That was the second part of that question. Yes, you can be doing FBA for your product and then switch it to FBM. You can be doing both. You can be doing FBA and FBM. You can just be doing FBM. You can kind of swip and swatch between. Good question there. Okay, let's see here. Do you sell in all Amazon marketplaces or only in the US? Where is more profitable? I guess taxes are higher outside of US. That's a good question. I sell in the US marketplace just because I have the most experience there, and taxes are an inevitable part of this game. I am not a accountant, so I can't give you tax advice, but I can tell you pay your taxes, and that if you're trying to not pay taxes because you want to sell in a different marketplace, inevitably, if you're paying yourself and you're in the US, you have to pay taxes on that income. So it's not something that you can necessarily avoid. So, selling in the US marketplace for me has been the best. I feel like that's how I can kind of know my clientele the best. But that's a good question. Yeah, I would say that you have to pay your taxes regardless. So it doesn't necessarily matter as much. Okay, next question here. Do you have forms to calculate after all expenses? What is the profit, not revenue? Absolutely. It's a tool called the AMC Scout Profit Calculator. It's not a form, it's an actual tool that the AMC Scout has the ability to track and see what is the size of your product. So, therefore, how much is the fulfillment fees? How much is the CPC cost? And all that is generated on the AMC Scout tool, the AMC Scout Profit Calculator. I use that tool. I think I probably use that tool every day because I'm always helping people understand calculating their profit margins. So it literally says profit margin, gives you a figure, a number, a monetary value, and then it also gives you a profit percentage. So if your product's $100 and your profit per unit is $10, then your profit percentage is 10%. It gives you all those metrics perfectly broken down. It's so valuable. I love it. Absolutely love it. Does AMC Scout provide the PPC rate? Yes, they do. In one of those tools, they 100% will give you the PPC rates on the different keywords. And they're all estimated because the bid rates honestly change all the time. So those PPC bid rates will be $1.30 today, be $1.89 tomorrow, be 89 cents the next day. They actually fluctuate all the time. So AMC Scouts product research programs are always kind of looking at the back end of things and updating and changing those. So yeah, good question. You will have access to the PPC rates on your AMZ Scout bundle. The keyword AMZ Scout keyword search specifically is the tool you would use for that. They're going to go in, they're going to show you exactly what you'll be paying, or really, like we said, as an estimate because they do change pretty regularly. Okay, next question here. Amazon demands electricity bill and then deactivates the account. Why Amazon do this? That is because when you created your Seller Central account, you have to have those things match what information you're putting in. So like you're creating your account and your business account, let's just say is at 123 A Street. And then your electricity bill is at 456 B Street. Those two things need to coincide with each other. They need to be the same. If it's 123 A Street on your business information, then it has to be 123 A Street on your electricity bill. So that is why Amazon is deactivating your account, is those two things are not the same. They want to make sure that you are the same person there. So good question. Next question here is, what do you do if buyers stop to order your product? Well, what happens is as you continue to sell your product on Amazon, the more product you sell, the easier it actually becomes to sell that product because your rank continues to grow on the Amazon platform. And the more your rank continues to go, the higher you rank in your product niche or in your category, really is what I should say, is the algorithm starts sending more and more customers to you. So the Patreon just had $1,000 day did not start at selling 10 units a day. He started at selling like 1 unit a day, then 0 units the next day, and then 1 the next day, and then 2 the following day, and then 1 the next day. And then finally, as his rank continued to grow and continue to grow, it actually becomes easier and easier. You can lower your PPC budgets slightly. You can increase the amount of sales. So what happens normally is your product does not stop selling. If anything, your product starts selling more and more the more you're selling your product or the longer it's on the platform. Now, of course, things do happen where there could be more sellers that come into a niche, and at which point you're just going to have to adapt. You're going to have to make changes to your product. You're going to have to change the color. You're going to have to add add-ons to your product. Maybe you're selling the dash cam and now you're selling the SD card with it instead of a separate fee, just increasing the price slightly, right? Like you'll have to play around with your product to ensure that people are going to want to continue to buy it. Good question there. This next question is great. I love this question. Can you send items to Amazon inventory and create bundles or add personal notes, gift cards, discount cards, etc. before they send it? Now, two parts to your question. You can bundle your products in Amazon, right? So like let's say you're doing FBA fulfillment by Amazon and you have the dash cam and you have the SD card. You can bundle those two things together. You do it through the Amazon platform. You tell Amazon that you want to bundle these two things together. Amazon will do that for you. So yes, you can bundle it. I absolutely love that. Next is add a personal, personal notes, gift cards, discount cards, etc. So you can add a personal note saying, hey, thank you for your business. You would have your supplier slip that into your product packaging. Now, gift cards, you wouldn't be able to add a gift card into your packaging for your product to have a future purchase. And if you want to have a discount, you actually do that on the Amazon platform itself. So like, let's just say you're selling the dog brace for $29.99 and you want a 15% discount on that $29.99 price. You do that directly on the Amazon platform. Click the discount section there, add what percentage or dollar off, and that is how your product will get a discount. Good question there. Yes, okay, next question. This is a good one. Any restrictions on being an individual seller as compared to a professional seller? Yes, your restrictions really more so come monetarily. So you're just going to be paying a lot more for the individual account. The seller account also gives you some more advantages in the seller university. Like you get more benefits of seller university when you are in the professional account. The best thing about it is you could just pause or, like let's just say you start with the professional account for $40 a month and you are only selling like 30 units per month. And you're like, you know what? Like I actually only want to sell 30 units per month. I thought I was going to sell more than that. My profit margin's high. I'm okay with 30 units per month, which is a unit per day, which is very easy, very doable. You could just switch at any time. If you're a professional seller, you can go to an individual seller or vice versa. If you're an individual seller, you can then move to a professional seller. So that's a good question there. Next question is, does AMZ Scout tool support for EU, UK markets? Yes, I'm going to say yes because I want to say, but I'm going to have AMZ Scout comment on that just to verify. I don't want to give any false information. I'm pretty sure they do. Again, I sell in the US market. That is my forte, but the analytics are readable the same. And what I mean by that is, like, let's say you're in the EU, UK market and you are looking at the dog brace. And I look at the data and it says, this is the search history, this is the competition level. I'll be able to tell you whether it's good to sell in the EU, UK market because the data is relevant across the board, right? It makes sense across the board. If it's a high search volume and low competition level, then that's what it is, whether it's in the US market or the EU, UK market. So I will double check to you and get back to you on that. Good question. Have another question from someone said, but I guess you can have a discount card for any of the other products you sell. You won't actually have a discount card in your packaging for your product. So like, let's just say you're selling the dog brace and you sell dog toys as well. And you're like, hey, I want to give my customer that bought this product a discount code for the dog toys that I also sell in my store. You can't do that. Amazon doesn't give you the opportunity to type in a discount code when checking out. You would just have to say, look at our other products for our coupon codes, because you can put a coupon on any of your products. So I guess you could still advertise that there's coupons on your other products, but you couldn't give them an actual code so that they could use it on a different product. That's actually a good question. I hadn't thought about that. Your products are only limited to the coupons that are electronically put on by Amazon. While we wait for our next question, I'm really interested. Is there anyone in the chat here that is like, I'm ready to go? Like I'm motivated. I'm ready to take the plunge. I'm excited about the one-on-one chat. I'm excited about the calls that we have. Tell me, how are you guys feeling about that? Because it's important to be an action taker here. You need to take action when it's time. And again, for today only, we have this deal. Again, the QR codes are right on screen here. You have one-time easy payment of $6.29, or you have it split into 4 payments. Both QR codes are right here on the screen. Take advantage of it. I can tell you that my services are more expensive than this value right here. AMZ Scout is as well. Ooh, this is a really good question. I actually get all the time. How much time do you need to spend for your first product? I've probably seen this question maybe 1,000 times. It's a great question. And the answer is there is no specific time. It really comes down to, does it make sense? And that just comes down to like, all right, let's say you've been looking for 2 months and you just keep on finding products that have low search history, high competition levels. You're still not ready. Let's say in 2 weeks, which I've had a Patreon do, in under 2 weeks, they found a product that had great search history, low competition levels, niche expansion capabilities, and had all the box checked. And it took them 2 weeks, right? So I wouldn't say there's a set time. More so, does it make sense? Have you found a product that has all those variables in place and doesn't make sense for you to move forward with it? So no set time. More so, does it make sense? Good question. We're coming to the end of the webinar here. I want to give you guys just a few more minutes. We'll take here about 7 more minutes to answer some more questions, go through any of the different things you guys have in your mind, whether it's even questions about the AMZ Scout platform. I know someone asked, how do we check the PPC bid rates? Well, you use the AMZ Scout keyword finder. That's going to tell you exactly what they are. Is there any AI tool to find products like that? Well, you have the product database, which is going to be your best means to find that product. And on the product database, you have all these different filters. And those filters you control. You say, I want a product that ranges in price, excuse me, from $30 to $100. Or I want to sell a product that weighs from 1 to 5 pounds. I want to sell a product in the baby niche. I want to sell a product that has less than 100 reviews as an average. I want to sell, I just threw out like 5 or 6 good variables that I use every single time I do product research. Because every single time you do product research, you're going to find new things that are coming to the Amazon platform. Because again, things are coming up every single day. So how do you find the products? You find them through product database. ChatGPT is not going to tell you a product to sell on Amazon. I love ChatGPT. I'm not talking down on it. I'm just saying you actually need a tool that understands the analytics of Amazon, and that's the product database on AMZ Scout. Next question here is, what if your product is high in demand, but you are not making any sales? This is actually a great question. And that, excuse me, is happening because you are not positioning yourself on page 1 of the search results. And if you remember here, there's an ebook that is going to teach you exactly how to get your product on page 1, because it's not easy. You have to understand the different keywords within your niche. That's very important. If you're in the dog brace niche and you don't have dog brace anywhere in your title, and you're not bidding on the keywords dog brace, then your product is not going to show up in when someone types in dog brace for dogs or dog brace for pets, or whatever. You may have to make sure that you're following those certain steps. The ebook is a great tool to really, really help do that for you. Guys, last few minutes here, please take advantage of it. I think that it's, safe to say that a lot of these opportunities like we have right now to get a great deal or to ask some valuable questions, it's not something you get to do all the time. So if you have some questions, don't be afraid. No question is a bad question. A lot of these questions that you guys are asking, I had as a beginning Amazon seller, and I see on a regular basis, basically every single day. I mean, because I'm mentoring folks every single day. I'm taking calls every single day. I'm Amazon is a big portion of what I do. So ask the questions. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to take action. Scan the QR code here. Split it into 4 payments if you need to. And ask me any questions you have. I'm here to give you my honest feedback because I really, really value that. Okay, another good question that just came in. What do you do with seasonal products? This is a great question. The first thing I do with seasonal products is I try to understand, excuse me, where is the high selling points of my season. And then from there, I adjust my inventory levels to those times. So let's just say Q4, I'm selling Christmas decorations. Q4 is when I have the highest amount of inventory in Amazon fulfillment centers. And let's just say August or before August, even, let's say June. In June, I have the lowest amount of inventory in my fulfillment center. That's one variable that I like to do. So I'm changing my inventory levels dependent on when the sales are occurring. Second thing I'm doing is I'm changing my advertising budgets to when the sales are occurring. So an advertising budget for a day could be $150 for Q4, but could be $10 for a day in June, right? When there's not a lot of sales occurring. So I like to change the volume of inventory available to customers dependent on the sales volume, as well as I like to change my budget for how much I'm spending on a daily basis. Because you really will still sell your units, even if it's seasonal, if it's a Christmas item, like you'll still sell inventory in June or right after Christmas in January. You would think people aren't going to buy things for Christmas, but they still are. And you're just changing those levels to adjust from there. Good question there. There's money to be made in seasonal items. I see people doing it all the time. It is, something that you don't always have to have stock in the fulfillment center either. If you make no sales in June, well, sell out of your inventory or just keep some available on fulfillment by FBM, fulfillment by merchant. And then when the time comes, when you start making more sales, send your inventory back to the fulfillment center. All right, guys, last and final 2 minutes here. I probably have enough time for 1 or 2 questions. So make sure you drop them into the chat now before we have to end the webinar. Again, if you're looking to make a change, now is the time to do it. All right. One of our last questions here, using FBA account, how does Amazon handle returns or defective products from sales? Loss is passed to seller and Amazon takes the hit. So Amazon has a very in-depth process. When your product comes back, let's just say for a refund, Amazon will go, Amazon will go in and do an examination of your product. I'd like to say the box in perfect condition. They test your product super quick and everything works fine. They put it back in its box. They put it back in the inventory that's saying that it's ready to be shipped out. Then Amazon comes and says, hey, your product box is ripped. We tested your product, doesn't work. They're going to put it in the defective section, right? So now you're responsible for saying, hey, Amazon, send me those products myself, or I'll pay you guys to dispose of them. If your product just stays in inventory, you're refunded the money on the return. If your product is deemed as defective, you took a hit on that product. If you charge $30 for it and the customer returns it, you lost out on $30. It's going to be sitting in that kind of gray area where Amazon's going to say, hey, what do you want us to do with this? Do you want us to dispose of it? Do you want us to send it to you? What do you want us to do? Okay, guys, last and final question. I have 1 minute left here before I have to hop off. If you guys are wondering, where am I going to go? Well, it's a beautiful day, and that financial freedom is an important thing. And we're going to go out on the boat for a little afternoon boat session. And if you're like, I need that, I need to buy some things that I want in my life, then you need to take the plunge and you need to start selling on Amazon. You need to do something that is business savvy. This is a great option for you guys. Stick around for another 30 seconds or so, see if one last question trickles in. And if not, I really look forward to seeing you guys at some point, whether it's in a YouTube video or whether you guys sign up for the bundle. And I see you guys in my mentorship program, where again, I can share with you some of my students' achievements. And of course, I have to block out their name and their product just for privacy reasons. But it is real. It's not fake. People are making money on a daily basis, and you could be doing it too. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming today. It's been a pleasure as always. This is actually my third webinar with AMZ Scout. Every single one I do is always a lot of fun. I appreciate everybody for showing up today, asking a lot of great questions. One last time, if you're thinking about it, if you're on the fence, just do it. Make the commitment, scan the QR code, go through with it. You have a 10-day money-back guarantee, so you really have nothing to lose. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Take care.